Alrighty guys, as they keep bringing us another Dragon Ball Legends video, and today we're going to go ahead and be hopping in for a guide video on the new game mode known as the Tournament of Power. So we just got this game mode after maintenance ended just a couple hours ago, right? And so I basically wanted to go ahead and talk about it because I had a lot of difficulty with it. I went into it blind and I really struggled. Thankfully, thanks to the help of my clanmates within the KAIŌSHIN, shout out to them, they were actually able to sit down with me and help me figure out a lot of this stuff. And they actually provided me with a lot of information, and now I feel like I have a good grasp of the event, and so I wanted to go ahead and share that information with you guys, so hopefully you guys don't go in blind like me, and you guys can actually get a high score to go ahead and yield some higher rewards. Alright, so actually going into the Tournament of Power, this is kind of like what it looks like. I have basically an organizational thing, or basically a plan of how I want to go ahead and set this out. So I think the first thing, the most important thing, is building your team. I think that's the first prompt it asks you to do. I would heavily advise not messing with auto. Do not mess with auto just yet, because generally I think auto is kind of just trash within every game mode, right? It's just generally not that great, and I know some people that have had issues with the auto mode. Like I have a friend that actually hit auto mode and it just gave him, it started him with just Shallot, with only Shallot. It only went with Shallot, and he kind of just, it screwed him. It absolutely screwed him because he's probably not going to be able to get it too far. I mean, unless he dies, but I'm not sure. He has to make it to this square right here to go ahead and reform his team space. We'll talk about the team spaces later. Let's first go ahead and get into the party formations. This is what I have my layout looking like. And, you know, basically the first thing I'm going to go ahead and tell you is let's ignore these boxes right now, but let's go ahead and talk about the units. So we can immediately go into boost characters right here. Immediately I can tell you right now, so Trunks and Mai, that's who I have on there. I have Goku Black, I have Jiren, I have Krillin, and Vados. The only one that I do not have is Bergamo. And the reason why you want to use these battle bonus characters is so you can get that battle score bonus. So you get a battle score bonus plus 4% for all of these battle bonus characters, right? So that's already enough to incentivize you to go ahead and use these units, because ultimately you do want a high score, right? Because, and I'll tell you why you want a high score right here, because if you get into the top 6k, you get 1,000 crystals, right? That's enough said right there. Even if you get this this battle score right here, you're gonna get a total of 300 crystals along with some other goodies. So I think that's more than enough said in terms of why you want to get a high score overall. Alright, so coming back to this kind of layout right here, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So you guys know why I have the units I have selected. Well, besides Chomper, right? The only reason why I have Chomper right here is because of the fact that I think he has a good Z ability. He buffs God Key and he buffs Rival Universe, and Vados fits under that. Jiren fits under that. Trunks and Rose fit under. Oh, well, Trunks doesn't fit under that. My bad. But Rose does fit under that, so that's why I have him right here. And when you look at the backup characters, these guys are kind of just a little bit of oddballs right here. These are basically characters that can come in, and you get two characters that can replace your units, right? Because once you pick your lineup, your setups, your main team, and your backup squad, those are the units you are stuck with. And so the backups kind of just sit on the back right here, like, but you can swap them out. So these are the only units that you can swap out. Like, say like my Vados is really low health right here, so say I'm gonna go ahead and swap her out for Cell. I can go ahead and do that. These are the only units I can do that with, but I do not want to do that. I want to Vados back in there. But you can see right here, the rest of my units are grayed out. I can no longer use these units. I can't even click on them. I cannot remove these units, right? You cannot reduce the number of characters in your team once you enter the map capture. So make sure you guys are choosing carefully before you do anything right here. This is very important. And so now going back to like the boxes and stuff like that, we can ignore backup for now. I know you guys probably want to learn more about backup, but I'm gonna be real honest with you guys. This is basically amateur hour for me, right? And so basically when I look at these guys both buff future and powerful opponents, so I figured that would be a good backup just in case, so it can go ahead and back up my team. Because you look at details right here, Z ability does matter. You have Tournament of Power Z abilities now. And so speaking of that, we have a whole separate kit now. This is one of the things that I do not like. So Legends is basically making us remember two kits. They want us to memorize two kits. So you have your regular kit, which is PvP and all that good stuff, right? And then you have TOP kit. So now this is the TOP kit. This is what's important right here. So we can go ahead and look at this. So you have the Tournament of Power Z ability, right? And then this is what I want to focus on the most. This is where this is where it might get a little bit complicated, but hopefully this will help you guys understand. So unknown power level at the start of turn, multi-target. You get a 20% to your own blast damage inflicted for one turn. There's 4 turns in a fight, keep in mind. And then you also get 20% to damage inflicted by allied tag, rival universe, or tag God Key in range. That's important right there, in range for one turn. And by in range, it means these little blocks right here. I'll zoom in on it. So you have the dark blue little dot with the little arrow. That is you. That's your Vados character, wherever she is on your little layout. And the highlighted boxes are where she's giving the buffs. That's where she's distributing the buffs. So you can see she's giving a buff 2 blocks ahead of her. She's giving a block to the left diagonal and to the right diagonal, right? And so we can actually go ahead and show that in a more clear fashion. So she's giving a buff to herself, which is the box highlighted right here that I have. She's giving a buff to Jiren, and also because of the fact that he's Rival Universe, giving a buff to Champa, also Rival Universe on God and God Key too, and giving a buff to Rose because he does fit on that God Key. So say I had Jiren right here. Right, so let's say I had Jiren right here. He is no longer getting that Vados buff. He has to be right here to go ahead and get that Vados buff. Say I have Krillin right here instead of Jiren. Oh wait, let me go ahead and just figure this out. So say I have Krillin right here instead of Jiren. You might be saying, oh, okay, that's okay. Vados is going to be buffing the Krillin then instead, right? No, you have to pay attention to the kits. This is why it gets a little bit complicated. Vados only gives that buff if it's a Rival Universe member or a God Key member. So I have to put Jiren right back there instead. And then Krillin, typically I'll have him right here, right? Krillin, I have him right here because Goku Black actually gives something similar, so we can look at someone else. He gives a buff to the person in front of him and to the block directly behind him. And well, not a buff, but he actually does a cover change. He can do a cover change on a strike guard. So it says right here, before receiving a strike guard's card, it's health gated. If your health is 30% or lower, your allies in range, you will perform a cover change and nullify a singular attack. So if this guy is low health, or I don't know if it's him that's low health or if it has to be the Rose that's low health. We're gonna have to do some more testing on that. But if one of these guys is low health at 30%, then I can go ahead and nullify an attack with Rose by cover changing and saving this specific Krillin, right? Or whatever unit that would be right here, or whatever unit that would be right here, right? And so you can also see in the form of Trunks right here, he has some supportive capabilities right here. You can see he buffs the block immediately to the left of him, immediately to the right of him, and behind him. And so that's why I have him right here. I think that's an optimal position for him. He's buffing the Vados, the Rose, and the Jiren. So, that being said, I think this is the optimal layout, ignoring the backup characters. But except for Champa. Minus Champa, I think instead of Champa, you guys should use Bergamo if you guys have him. If you guys have this, I think this is the way you guys should lay him out. Krillin can kind of just go anywhere. I don't think the cover change is too important, but I think this is a pretty good setup overall. So the last thing I want to go ahead and talk about is the equips. Me being a dummy, I did not get any equips because I truly did not believe there was any equips in the game for these guys, for TOP, right? And so I kind of just played myself in that kind of aspect. But I'm going to go ahead and show you where to get the TOP equipments. All right, so now we're back right here after making a quick cut. We are at the exchange shop tab. So you guys are going to come here and you guys are going to scroll down. You guys are going to go into the rare metals shop right here. So you can see they added a new tab under TOP. So these are all TOP equips right here. So all above different stuff like that. This one right here has no conditions on it, but the rest do. So these 5 right here buff colors, right? So this one I think buffs blue and stuff like that. So these 5 are all the colors. And they're specific to colors, like this one's red and all that. And then these 5 down here, or these 4 down here, my bad, is the typing. So melee type, you got a range type, defense type, and then you have support type right here. So definitely, if you guys want, you guys can definitely equip those. I don't think these affect your score, but they're going to help overall in the long run, right? They're going to help your units survive. They're going to help your units do more damage, all that good stuff. But the only complaint I have about this, and it's a big complaint, is this. So we are in the equipment shop, or well, we're in the equipment tab now, and you can see right here I have my 3 TOP medals. I am extremely pissed because they take up my PvP slots as well, so I'm completely maxed out on equips. I've always struggled with having a lot of equips. I know I should clear some of these out. I know I should increase my space, but they really should have just given us a different backpack for the TOP equips. So this is bullshit, dude. Like, I do not like this at all. I feel like this is a horrible aspect. I hope they change this so it can make it more friendlier. Like, they can do a variety of different things, right? Immediately off the top of my head, I want a separate backpack to go ahead and store my TOP equips, because these TOP equips are not going to be used outside of TOP. So I think it's absolutely dumb that they're going to take up all these equips that I use in PvP and in PvE, right? So because it's a separate game mode on its own, so it should definitely have a different backpack, or I mean, maybe even better, they should just increase the amount of equipment slots that we have in general for free without any effort, right? I feel like they should do something like that, because this is kind of lame. All right, so now let's talk about the map. So you guys might be looking at this, and it's a little overwhelming. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit annoying. You guys might look at this and think, oh, this is glorified chess. And to some extent, yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that. It's very annoying. So let's go ahead and go over the panels real quick. So you have your fighting panels right here, right? This is a fighting panel. And then you have your recovery panel, a recovery space where you can recover your health by 50%. And then you also have reform team space. So this is where you want to go if you want to complete, like, say like you completely butchered your team and you're watching this video and you're like, oh my god, I completely ruined my team setup. Try to land on this space. Maybe you'll go ahead and you'll be able to reform your team and stuff like that. You'll be able to put better characters on there, all that good stuff. And then, so that being said, I want to talk about some important aspects when going into these fight stages. So you go into these fight stages, a big thing that you guys have to keep in mind is there is an attack order. So say I'm going into this and I'm looking at my rival team right here, and it's set, I have 2 green units, right? I have Jiren and I have Vados. And so maybe in my head, I'm thinking, dude, like, this Goku is a threat. He's a massive threat to my team. I want to get him out immediately. He's going to take priority. I'm going to go ahead and kill him. Boom, right there. I click on him. It says #1 by his name, and I'm going to be able to go ahead and prioritize him first. So this is really good in terms of color countering, in terms of doing all that good stuff, right? But at the same time, like, I think Vados has high Q recovery, which equates to being able to attack first. So I know my green unit is going to be able to attack first. Maybe I go ahead and just take this guy out immediately as soon as possible, right? That's also another option. Or maybe once you guys get familiar with the kits, because you guys are probably going to get familiar with the kits the more you guys play this game mode. Like, say, just hypothetically, this isn't true, but hypothetically, what if Janemba is a support unit? What if this Janemba is a support unit? What if he's constantly healing up his teammates? Then obviously I'm going to want to target him first. So he's going to be target #1, and then you can go ahead and so forth all the way up to target 6, and that's the order of what basically how you're going to kill these people, right? How you're going to take them out. Then another thing I wanted to talk about is your layout bonus right here. So you're going to have some bonus stuff, like you have one right here where it says upgrade your special move, upgrade your inflicted damage up, and you have one for critical rate as well. So we can actually go ahead and take a look at that real quick. So basically what you have right here is you can see that you have my layout right here basically fits every single one of these, right? And so you can basically play around with this. I don't think this is too, like, I don't think this should change your general format. Like right here, like the 5 units that I have kind of like in the center, like all the units besides Krillin that I have, I really like this setup. So even if these boxes were over here, and over here, I don't know if I would necessarily change this up all too much, because I still want that basic synergy between my team overall, right? But like with Krillin, for example, like say he was right here and I noticed this box is completely empty and it's an inflicted damage up, I have no reason not to put Krillin right there, right? I mean, unless you really want that cover rescue with Rose right here. But otherwise, you can definitely play around with this. These can definitely give you guys a pretty solid advantage. This is something definitely to not just glance over overall, right? This is something to go ahead and take a mental note of and make sure you guys are playing this strategically, because this is a strategic game mode. All right, so another thing I wanted to talk about is your TP. Do not let your TP run out. Do not let it run out. You are only going to get 1 TP per 5 hours, meaning you're going to get 5 TP within a 25-hour time frame. So I highly doubt it's going to be hard to like manage all this. The way they set this up is they basically want you to use your TP as it refreshes, which I heavily advise you guys to do, because you're constantly going to want to keep fighting for that higher score, right? This definitely, your score is something that's not to be reckoned with. You want to go ahead and get the max amount of score that you can possibly get so you can secure your chance at those 1,000 chrono crystals. That being said, they only gave us 2 chrono crystals, bruh. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this meme up here. You guys know what to do. I have no clue why they only started us off with 2 chrono crystals. I was only able to move 2 spaces and they tell me now you got to wait 5 hours. Like, bruh, that's an absolute bruh moment. That being said, let's go ahead and move on to battle score. All right, so when it comes to battle score right here, we're going to go ahead and pull up my rank. You guys can see in the top right corner, I have 1,068,000 battle score for this game mode. And so I think that's actually pretty good, right? I'm sitting right here at rank 3,430. That's rapidly decreasing, by the way, because I think when I first did this, I was like at rank 1,000 and something. And just in a couple amount of hours, I've dropped all the way down to 3,000. So this is what I'm saying. You guys, this is going to be really competitive. So this is something that you guys kind of have to be on top of, right? And so basically, I want to go ahead and tell you guys how to get a higher score and stuff like that. But before we do that, I want to look at the #1 ranker right now is John. And so you can kind of see his setup. It's not too bad. I mean, there's a lot of things that I would change right here, right? Because Jiren right here, he's not getting the Vados buff. So what I would do is I would swap Jiren for this Trunks right here, put Trunks in the middle, Jiren at the top, and then he would get that Vados buff right there. This Rose right here, I would probably put him over here. I would probably put him on this left box so he can also get the Vados buffs. But for the most part, another important note to take a mental note of is that he has 14-star units. He has a lot of stars on his units and stuff like that. And so I think that does affect this as well because, you know, it's going to overall affect how much damage you do, how well you tank, all that craziness, right? Because on top of all that, you know, your stars do matter in terms of you get a better Z ability the more stars you have. I think that's obvious enough that that's going to basically play hand in hand in how well you do in these matches. So that's a little discouraging that this game mode, even though it's technically PvE, PvP kind of a hybrid, right? Because it's PvE in the terms that you're not actually fighting a player, but you're competing with other players in terms of leaderboards. And so I feel like people with higher stars are going to have much more of an advantage, especially when it comes to boost characters, right? Because you're not always going to have all of the boost characters, especially as a free-to-play player. All right, so let's talk about other ways that we can increase our score right here. So we have right here my two scores. I have 533,000 for the first one, 534,000 for the second one. Pretty similar, right? So basically, we went over the battle stages, right? But you can see with these little fists, the fist panels, is that you have one fist on this one, you have two fists on that one, you have two fists on that one. So for both of my fights, I did the two fist option. So you can go back into the battle log. You can even see right here, I do have the two fist options right there. I assume that it's going to increase the higher we get, and so that also in turn means that the difficulty is also going to increase. But I firmly believe that the higher the difficulty that you choose, the more points you get. I'm going to put up a screenshot right here of another one of my buddies actually doing a one fist mission, or a one fist fight is what I should say, and he only got 300,000 points. So I definitely do think this does have this plays a factor in terms of your score. So make sure you guys are doing a healthy like rotation of 2 stars and 1 star, or 2 fists and 1 fist fights, because I think if you do too many 2 fist fights or higher, or you guys might diminish your health significantly, right? So I think you have to kind of like find that like good balance. But for the most part, it looks like higher difficulty is going to yield you higher score overall. So that being said, what else can we do to increase our score? So I don't know if I said this already in the video, but you only have 4 turns within the match. After the 4th turn, after the 4th turn, the winner gets decided. And so both of my matches right here, it went to 4th turn. I won after the 4th turn, and I think that played a heavy role in how many points I got, because this is just assumption, but I do think that the quicker you complete this, like if you completed this on round 2, or turn 2 is what I should say, or turn 3, or even, I don't even know if you can do it on turn 1. I'm pretty sure people have found a way to go ahead and beat it on turn 1. But if you go ahead and beat it on the earliest round that you possibly can, I feel like you're going to yield a higher score as well. So this is what I'm saying when it comes to team building. When you're building your layout, make sure you're trying to optimize it as much as possible, because that's going to give you better results. And then obviously the last one that probably most of you guys have probably already figured out, I already talked about it, was your party members. Your party members being those battle bonus characters are definitely going to help you in terms of getting that higher score, right? They're going to increase your score percentage by 4% each. So those are definitely very, very big things to keep in mind when, you know, aiming for a high score within this. So another thing that I wanted to go over within this is I have this screenshot up here where basically the tips and tricks of this. So basically the battle spaces are where you fight against enemies. The higher the difficulty level, which is the fists, the more powerful they will be. And then when confirming your movement to the battle space, you can tap the enemy's icon to set the order, which we also talked about as well. So battles will be performed automatically. I don't think I mentioned that at all yet, but they will be performed automatically. You can actually see the battle result and the other details after it ends. You can go ahead and get a replay of the simulation, which is the last thing we're going to go over in this video. And so the amount of points that you earn towards your battle score is determined by various aspects of the battle. So it's very vague. Like, I'm not going to lie. That's why I don't have clear-cut ways. That's why I'm not 100% sure on this guide. I'm just basically doing my best to go ahead and bring you the knowledge that me and my clan have come forward with, because it is very vague in terms of the aspects that they give us, because I feel like this game mode isn't necessarily a complete, like, final version yet, right? Because this is technically just the preseason So hopefully once they have a more concrete way of doing all this, we'll get a more concrete explanation. And so the second thing that I wanted to go ahead and go over is that, so the battle rules. So battles consist of 4 turns with a maximum of 6 versus 6 characters. So your 6 versus their 6. And characters attack in order of highest key recovery. And the turn will end when everyone has attacked. So this is very important as well. Something to not lightly glance over is the fact that everyone gets an attack. Everyone. So everyone on my team is going to attack, and everyone on the enemy's team is going to attack, excluding for dead characters, right? So if I kill a character on his team and that character hasn't attacked yet, he's dead, so he's not going to attack me. Same goes for my team. If my opponent kills one of my units before I have even attacked, then I'm probably not going to be able to attack. But the other thing that I want to talk about is the key recovery. So basically, it goes in order of key recovery, and it's not like really biased. You know, if your enemy attacks you 3 times in a row, and you're like, what the hell, dude, this RNG is BS. It's not RNG. It's basically whoever has the highest amount of key recovery. So hypothetically, like say I have a full team of people that have just absolutely crazy key recovery, like the best key recovery in the game, and then my opponents have just 6 units with just absolute horrible key recovery in the game, like the worst key recovery in the game, then chances are, maybe, is that all my characters are going to attack first before my opponent even gets a single attack off on me, right? That's just how that goes. So key recovery is important. Whoever has higher key recovery is going to get priority first. So after 4 turns, a Rising Rush will be used by the player's side only, so you don't have to worry about your opponent Rising Rushing you. You're the only one that with the ability to Rising Rush. And so the winner after that is the one who eliminates all of their opponent's characters, or the one who has inflicted more damage during the battle. So at the very end, if you haven't killed all your opponents, if you had more damage dealt, then you're going to win that. Like I said before, I think the longer you take, if you actually go ahead and use up all 4 of your turns, then it's going to hurt your score ultimately in the end. So that being said, let's go ahead and go on to my second match. Alright, so we have my second match right here, so you can see we're going to get all these buffs. I'm going to actually speed this up a little bit. So this is basically what it looks like. I mean, honestly, it's not too important to go ahead and look. I mean, I guess it is important, but you can see like the box is being highlighted, right? You can absolutely see like where the buffs are actually being distributed right here. So the little highlights, that means like only Rosé is getting buffed right here, right? You can see that the Trunk is getting buffed. Champa's getting his own little buffs. Like it's just basically a series of buffs going round and round and round. And so that basically persists for a long time right here. You can see even in the corners right here, these are where the other buffs are coming in right here. You can see even on the enemy screen. My Vados is attacking first, my Krillin attacks first, and then his UI attacks first. And his UI attacks afterwards, right? This is going in order of your key recovery, right? And so we can actually go ahead and just, let's fast forward this to the max. You can actually do this 3 times, and basically you're going to get all of this right here, right? So this is basically the order that's going to go constantly. You're going to have your special cut-in abilities and stuff to do. This is turn 2 now. And so I only killed Vegito Blue on my first run. And so basically, you probably want to kill more than one character on your first turn. So that's just how it is. You can see these guys are doing special abilities and all that good stuff too, right? So all that good stuff is definitely taken into consideration right here. So you can see Goku used his UI gauge right there. They all have different like abilities, different kits within this game mode, but none of this is you like actually controlling it when you're actually doing the fight. So we are now on turn 3. Again, all these buffs are going through. All these buffs on the enemy are going through. I'm going to be attacking first with Vados. So obviously from right off the bat, you guys can obviously tell is that Vados has the most key recovery. Right? She has the most key recovery, so a good strat maybe could be is if you know the key recovery of your opponents, maybe target that one. Maybe target them in order of key recovery. That way you can get all your attacks in first, right? I think that actually might be the most optimal strat, but it might be a little bit tedious to go ahead and actually see who has the most key recovery on both sides, right? So it really just depends. So that's basically it right there. I think that was turn 4, and we were able to win it right there. So that's basically the game mode in a nutshell right there. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope it definitely helped. I don't know. This was a little bit rocky. If you guys have some information on this game mode that I didn't know about, maybe that I didn't include in this video, definitely let me know by leaving a comment down below. You know, even if you guys have a question, maybe I can answer it. Definitely do that as well. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and hop on out of here. If you guys liked the video, definitely let me know by leaving a like, or maybe even consider hitting that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later!